that. You're able to get in, Beverly?
I am. Okay. So I'm in. All right, break it down. All right, at the end of our hour, I want you guys to really feel like you have something to take away that's going to benefit you and that wow factor. What is going to be what you're looking for to get out of this hour? That's for you, Jeffrey and Donna.
So I'm looking to get a little more confidence actually speaking with people and kind of understand how to combat the no's. And I guess just to feel more comfortable overall with calling people.
You did, Bev. What about you, Donna? Is there anything that you're looking for today?
Well, I've heard Bev do a few of these before, and I always take away some nuggets. So I'm always open to learning things, and every call brings a new opportunity to learn something. So I'm here to grab some nuggets and see how I can, perhaps utilize the English language in a more creative way, or actually get some live people. I think that's our biggest challenge as well, right? But actually, I had a pretty good week last week. Batting average was pretty high last week of actually making contact, so I was pretty excited.
And what would you say is the biggest rock in your shoe?
Getting, you get a call, you have a short one because they weren't prepared to have, a real dialogue. You try and keep them on the phone, but they're basically ready to hang up. Call me back in 2 days, and they give you a specific time, and then you're playing chase. You're chasing them for like a week. I think that's probably my biggest point of frustration. Because when I get them live, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And I want to glean as much information to help them as I can. But it's just trying to get that reciprocal commitment, I guess, for lack of a better word, Bev.
Yeah, and it is. We have to remember that the law is in the numbers, and
Absolutely.
everybody is going to be interactive, unfortunately, and just move on next. But taking the opportunity, even if I'm driving, I can't talk, and you're like, well, why'd you answer the phone, right? I'm at work, I can't talk. Well, why'd you answer the phone? And I'm in a funeral, I can't talk. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So it's remembering and keeping in that toolbox that I have to know question. What is the main thing that you have to know? Because the most important thing is we don't want to keep calling back people that don't really care and that aren't going to be buying in the next 1, 2, 3 years, right? So it's that quick question, because people will say, can I call you back? We know they're not going to call us back. Well, you don't have to call me back. Just a really fast question. Do you plan on buying in the next year? And you can usually always keep that engagement unless it's just a hard ass just hang up. So just having that main question in your back pocket when they cut you short. So we'll definitely, and that's why I'm like, if I can solve the biggest rock in your shoe out of the gate, then everything else is going to be all fluff. And Jeffrey, you were talking about just having better conversations, being able to have more engagement, and I think more quality conversations in being able to ask the right questions, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Because I don't always know what to say when I'm calling someone. I just feel like I'm freezing up. So Donna helped me with that the other day. She gave me some tips on what I can say to kind of start the conversation and keep it going a little. But I still need to work on combating the no's. And when someone says to me, I can't talk right now, call me back later, just like what to say next. I just say, okay.
Right? And this is like, okay, great. Just a fast question. Do you plan on buying in the next 6 months to a year? Okay, great. Do you actually want to talk about the home buying process? Because if they don't, I'm not going to call you back, and I know you're not going to call me back, and I just need to know where to put you.
I don't know if that actually sounds simple enough.
She does.
Good.
She
Having that question in your back pocket.
You know, I think I definitely will. I'm gonna write that down pretty soon.
Perfect. Hello, Ray.
Hi, Bev. How are you?
Fantastic. So I already,
Long time no see.
right? I already asked Jeffrey and Donna like what they wanted to take away after this hour. What is the main takeaway that you would like to leave this hour with to say, yes, I learned something?
Well, from you, the god of phone, hey, we can learn everything.
What is most important?
I want most important thing to me. Hey, I was talking to the team. These guys, well, for Jeff, for example, Jeff is new and he has some kind of a hesitation. I saw and I felt. Donna, she's been in sales before, so she knows the trick and she's actually pretty good. You can even judge her, to be honest with you. Amir is not here. I don't know what's going on. Cyrus was supposed to be here. He's not here. But for me, what is important, this guy's to get more familiar with how you approach, how you get them to talk to you. So, to be honest with you.
Perfect. So Jeff, how long have you been making phone calls?
Since okay, so Friday.
Oh, you're
So
ready,
so
baby.
so what I tried to do the most, because I didn't really feel comfortable calling people right away. I tried to get them through text and email first, and if I was able to arrange a phone call, then I would call them. After the team meeting that we had on Friday, I started calling people like crazy. So I've probably made at this point 35 to 40 phone calls, and I've reached about 5 people.
So I'm going to ask this question, and we're just going to use you as kind of the training right now, because this is
Go for it.
This is so awesome to be able to capture this moment and ask you these questions. When you think about sitting down to make phone calls, what is this self-dialogue that you have in your head?
Oh my God, they're going to pick up. What do I say next? That's
And
the
what
exact
else?
dialogue.
What goes on after that?
Okay, so then I just say to myself, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? Just do it.
Okay.
So I do it and I hope for the best. Sometimes I mess up a little, sometimes I don't.
And how long do you feel it takes you from call to call to call?
So now that I have a bit of a rhythm set up, maybe 20 seconds between, I kind of look and say, okay, where did this lead come from? Have I messaged them before? How old are they? And then I have different minor scripts that I use depending on if they're new, old, or really old.
Okay. And the next question I'm going to ask is, what is your intention when you're on the phone with the lead?
To find out whether or not they're going to be buying or selling, and in the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay. So I'm going to, yes, there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. But I think the industry has pushed so much speed to lead and get the appointment. And what that's done is it's forced us to have an expectation whenever we're making these phone calls. And when I look at the number one objective when we're making phone calls as being finding out where they are in the process, whether it be right now, next week, next month, next year, 5 years from now, it doesn't matter. Where are you in the process and how can I fit in to that part of your process? And what can I do now to earn your business no matter where you are in the process? And look at it as more of a building of the pipeline. And once in a while, getting bingo and going, wow, okay, you want to go right now? All right, let's go sit in a car. But for the most part, the biggest majority of all of these leads are going to be a long-term process. They're not going to be right nows. So if we're coming into the very first phone call as that intention of where are you in the process? What do you need from me? What can I be doing for you in the meantime? that way it lowers that expectation of feeling like we failed because we didn't get the appointment. So looking at it more as, I'm going to be in real estate November of 2023. So if you're 2 years out, what can I be doing with you to earn your business over the long term? And that's where the tagging system comes in, as well as the tasking system, because we have to be really good at determining who qualifies for time on our calendar by the answers they're coming back to us with our questions. So you never ever have to worry about what to say if you're asking the right questions, because you never have to talk. You ask the question, let them talk. Ask another question from their answer. Because all it is peeling back the layers of that onion to get to the time frame, to get to the urgency. So when I look at making phone calls, my brain says, I want to know what your current situation is so I can get a perspective of your urgency. Because if you own and you've only been in your house for 6 months, ain't going to be much of an urgency unless you really hate your neighbors or unless somebody just died. But other than that, if they've moved and they've been in their home for 5 years, what's the reason for the move? I'm pregnant and I'm getting ready to have a baby and we don't have another bedroom. Oh, when are you due? When do you want to be in a home? That tells the story. I'm renting. I'm month to month. When do you want to be in your home? I'm renting. I'm in a lease term. So we're peeling back those layers, dissecting what would have to happen for you to make the move. And I really feel, looking at agents that are out with buyers, if you do not know what their plan B is, you're wasting your time. Because how many times, and Ray, I'll ask you this because you've been in real estate for a while. How many times had you ever been out with a buyer and they're looking for the right house and then they're like, nah, I'm not going to move right now. I'm going to wait a year. I'm going to wait 2 years.
A lot happens.
Yeah. And so we have to be prepared for that, because
Exactly.
that really lowers our value of our time. Because if we know that they don't have to move and they have that one house that they want to see, you have the choice to say, all right, when I look at the top 5 things that I should be doing, number one, I need to be at the settlement table. That's where you make your money. If you're not at the settlement table, you need to be in front of a ready, willing, and able buyer or seller. If you're not in front face to face with somebody, you need to be on the phone with somebody. If you're not on the phone with them, you need to be prospecting to find out who is going to be able to go face to face. If you're not prospecting, you need to be doing your research to really be able to understand who is your market, who do you need to be calling, who's your niche, where's your networking, know your market, know your numbers. So when we're face to face with somebody, notice I said ready, willing, and able buyer, because it's so vital that we're spending time with people that there's no plan B. Like, I have to move. I'm going to be out of this rental because they're selling the property. I'm having a baby and we have no room. I'm downsizing. I can't do the stairs anymore. I have to be out. I have no option. Now, they may not have the credit or they may not have the funds, but they have to move. And that's where we can dive deep in to find out, okay, well, if you don't have the funds, then you're gonna be a rental, right? The more we know about them, the more we can help them. Because if we don't know anything about them, we can't help them. So being very question focused and being very focused on the overall outcome. Because let's face it, Tasks suck. Nobody likes to do follow-up and nurture. It's just not fun. But
That's part of the job.
it is the most crucial piece of the job
Right.
because, and here's what's great about it, nobody freaking does it. So if you do it, you're going to win. Yeah. Unless they change their
True.
mind and they're not going to buy, you are going to win. And this is where I've taken my phone calling to a whole new level, because that was the piece that I was missing. Because I had enough right nows, I didn't need to worry about tomorrows. But if you take your right nows and you take your tomorrows, you freaking double your business. But the only way I know I have a tomorrow is to ask the right questions to know, how do I follow up? And again, it's not thinking about what do I have to say, it's what question do I need to ask? And the number one question that I promise you always wins: what can I do to earn your business? What is it that I could be doing for you now in regards to resources, in regards to updating you on the homes? What's the most important thing that I can help you with while you're in this discovery phase? What can I do for you to earn your business? How often would you like me to check in with you? And they will tell you. What's your best source of communication? If when I follow up with you, do you want me to call you, text you, or email you? And I know I'm not a priority yet. So if you don't respond, that's okay. But if you don't respond, I just want to make sure that you did receive something. Can you just do me a favor and just hit received? Just so I know, because I don't trust email and text going through, because sometimes they just don't go through if you're in a bad area. But I just always want to be there for you. And I always want that opportunity to earn your business. This is a relationship that we are going to be fulfilling, and this is a big investment for you moving forward. I'm looking very forward to being so much a part of this process with you. Any questions that you have? And just one last question. Is there any other agent that you know that would prevent you from utilizing my services and me earning your business?
$1 million question.
Then you know. Because our self-talk, when we have a great conversation with somebody, we're like, yes, I nailed that one. I'm going to be closing them in March. I follow up with them in 2 weeks because they're not looking at a single solitary property when they said they wanted to receive updates and they've never opened an email. I call back in 2 weeks. Hey, Ray, this is Beverly. Just wanted to let you know that I'm not sure you're getting my emails. You may want to check your spam box. If you have any questions, let me know. Send them a quick text. Hey, just left you a voicemail. I was just checking in, making sure you're getting my emails. Set a reminder for another week. Did they respond? If they didn't respond, hey, just checking in. I left you a voicemail last week. Is everything okay? Has anything changed? Set another reminder. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be at Christmas. Hey, just wanted to wish you Merry Christmas. I hope everything is amazing. I hope everything is great. If you need anything, let me know. Set another reminder. I promise you, you do not have to have them call you back. Be thankful they're not answering the phone because they're not taking up your time. You are not yet a priority. They're not dating you yet. So don't take offense to it. Don't get pissed off at the process. Just go with it. Because what's going to happen come February, they're going to call you and say, thank you so much for keeping in touch with me. I'm sorry that I haven't returned the phone call. I'm sorry. And give them the permission whenever you do call them. You don't have to call me back. Just checking in. If you do have questions, you know how to reach me. You know where I am. Every single person that I have been following up with for the last 4 months, this has been the process. The callbacks that I get, I'm stunned because they're truly thankful. And my self-talk in my head, and that's why I always like to ask the question. I've been calling leads since 2008. I still have the self-talk. I still try to talk myself out of calling leads. I truly do. I sit down like, oh my God, I have called this bitch 12 times and she ain't gonna answer the phone. Yes, it goes through my head. And I'm like, no, I can't go there. Old story, get rid of it, move on, make the call. Because I spend more time self-talking if I just did it, right? And then they pick up the phone and you're like, I'm like, oh my gosh, Donna, how are you? Gosh, it's been like a couple of months. What's going on with life? Oh my God, this. And you know what? I have had a setback because this happened. But the self-talk that we tell ourselves, they probably already bought with somebody else. They probably already went with somebody else. Buyers are innately lazy. Our job is to make it easy for them. So if we're continually calling and we're continually following up, they're right there on the speed dial. You don't have to leave a text every single time, just once in a while. So just follow up your voicemail with the text. And I kind of ping pong it. Be very clear in your task. And what I love about AgentLocator is when you set the task, it pops up on the calendar. You hit the little calendar button on the top right, as long as you're descriptive in what you have to do. Because I'll even leave myself a task. Did they respond to my text? So I may send a text right now and set myself a reminder for tomorrow. Did they respond to my text? So you see it right there and you're like, oh, I'm going to grab this one real quick. So all I have to do is resend them a text. 2 weeks from now, did they call back? And tell yourself in the text or in the task, this time leave a text, or this time send a text, this time leave a voicemail. Because what happens when you get in the moment of the conversation, I promise you this happens. You're like, oh my God, I love this person so much. We had such commodity. I can't wait to call them back. They're so cool. Their dog's having surgery. I wonder how their dog's doing. You set the reminder. You sit down to do your reminders 2-3 weeks, a month later. And you're like, oh God, what am I going to say to this person? What conversation am I going to have? But if you're very descriptive in your task, how's your dog doing? How's mom doing? It's very impressive. I'm going to stop there for a second and see if there's any questions and see if there's any aha moments and anything that you all want to share.
Donna, Jeff,
Well, I was listening to you and Beverly. I actually had it happen twice to me in the last less than a week. Some of the things you're talking about, like the follow-up, the consistent follow-up. I had a lady, I haven't talked to her since like June. But she said, just, keep touching base with me. I talked to her on the weekend. And then again, yeah, I think it was yesterday. She's at the point of ready. She's stuck, were her words, but I'm ready. So she's now engaged. But I haven't, like I said, talked to her or had any consistent communication with her since June.
And the beautiful thing about that, Donna, is you've now cultivated a right now lead since June, right?
Yeah. And then interesting what you said, and Ray, I haven't had a chance to tell you, one of those really old leads we were cultivating on the weekend, last week, I actually got set up and they were interviewing for agents. So
Beautiful.
To your point of what other agents do you know that would prevent me from becoming yours? I didn't have to ask that question. My timing was, hey, we're interviewing, your timing's perfect. Do you want to be part of the process? Well, of course I said yes. And I talked to them for probably 45 minutes later on that day and have subsequently had text communication just to see where things are at. They haven't made a decision yet. So it was really interesting listening to you. I'm like, oh, manufacturing some of the stuff. So it does work, Jeff.
So I actually got to speak to a person the other day, and they confirmed that they've been receiving my texts and emails. Of course, apologize for not responding. I had them actually set up now with a better search than what they had, and they agreed to have monthly follow-up calls. They're hoping to buy something in April, May.
Beautiful. So you just created in April a right now lead.
Yeah.
And that process of earning their business is that ongoing piece, because in reality, there's so much access for all of these people to go online and just pull properties. But what are we going to do above and beyond the competition
To earn that.
to
Yeah.
earn it? You know, and
Yeah.
that goes back to what Donna was just saying, as far as, I don't know that I've ever heard of people actually interviewing buyers like that. I'm like, wow, somebody's
Never
educated.
heard that either.
I
but
never have either.
I
And
thought
that's
maybe they're interviewing for listing agents.
But I am like, wow, what's your value proposition? And that is what really sets you apart, when you can really start having conversations and questioning their experience, right? And that's where that buyer presentation really comes in hand. And, you know, all right, so we're 2021 going into 2022, and the days, in my opinion, of that actual appointment to come into the office has really become diluted through COVID and through what's going on with the market dynamics. Like, there ain't no time to sit down and have that meeting if you're up against multiple offers and you want to see this property that has to have offers by Thursday. Like, you got to go. But if your value propositions are right on your tongue, in those conversations on the phone, we can always be talking to them about, it is 2021 and it seems like everybody has their real estate license. You know,
Tell
do
me
you
about it.
know, right? So do you know how many closings the average agent does a year? And they'll be like, no, 5 closings a year. So the average agent is only working with 5 clients a year. So A, they're not making a whole lot of money. And B, I don't know what you do for a living, but if you only showed up for work 5 days in the year, how great of a resource would you be for your company? So my job is to make sure that we're not only going to be there to help you negotiate your biggest investment, but we want to help you save thousands of dollars. Because choosing the wrong agent can really cost you thousands of dollars. I don't want you to buy a house that has a faulty air conditioning unit, and you buy the house and 2 months later the air conditioning breaks and it's going to cost you $5,000, $7,000 to replace the air conditioning.
I'm sorry, you guys continue. I've got a phone call I have to take. You guys continue.
Absolutely. So Donna, when you run into that, having those little things in your back pocket to be able to add that value, especially even today, we get a lot of, I have an agent. Jeffrey, have you run into that at all? I have an agent.
Yes, I ran into that yesterday.
And
So she said
how'd
she
that
was looking.
conversation go?
Sure. So I was talking to her about her search, and she said that her husband is working with an agent. So all I said was, okay, well, thank you for letting me know. I'll keep you set up with the emails. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Jeffrey, would there be any possibility of something that I could do to possibly earn your business?
I feel like that's not allowed with RICO, because we can't do anything to interfere with other agents'
You're just asking
clients.
a question, but did they have something signed?
I didn't ask that.
Exactly, right? It may be too late, but would there be anything that I could do to potentially earn your business? And she'd be like, I don't know. Well, let me ask you, do you mind if I just check in with you in a week or two? Because what we're finding out in the market today is there's a lot of licensed agents out there. However, most people are finding the homes on their own, and the agent's not really finding the properties for you. And I want to make sure that you are 100% confident that that agent is going to be able to position you to be the best offer when you're going to be up against multiple offers. So can you just keep that in your back pocket and just make sure, maybe interview your agent and ask your agent like how many contracts they've written and how long they've been in the industry and how many homes they've sold in a year? Because
So
I
that can
just
also
wanna make
backfire
sure.
on me though, because I'm only 6 months into the industry. If they ask me those numbers, well, all
How
I
many
can say
transactions does Ray have?
a
You
lot.
are on, exactly, you are on his team. Those are now your transactions. That's why you're on a team.
And Jeffrey, that's a really good point, Beverly. I actually ended up leveraging that during that interview call because they asked me point blank, well, so like, what are the transactions like? You said you're part of a team. I said, well, we're called the top 100 team for a reason. We, amongst us, blah, blah, blah. So it was a collective answer. I should have been a politician with the answer.
Yes, use the leverage of the team and say, we all collectively work together as a team and we are aware of everything that's happening with all the transactions because we're all in the know. And that is the most important thing for me to help you to understand that this industry is really understood as one person does everything. However, the best experience that you could get is a real estate company that works like a doctor's office. Because in reality, I can't be all things to all people. I can't be, and I don't know how your team works, but I can't be out at a listing appointment and finding you a property at the same time. So we have allocated agents that are listing agents. We have allocated agents that are buyer agents. That's our specialty. So whoever you're talking to, that's your specialty. And just change your lingo. So collectively know your team numbers because that's what you're going to utilize. And when somebody says, well, how long have you been in real estate? Oh my God, it feels like forever. I've been looking at homes and I've bought my home and I've sold this home. And yeah, we've all been in, use the collective number of how long all the years of everyone in the team has been in real estate. Because their experience has now become your experience. Because you have everything in your back pocket. And this is the piece when I was asking the questions in the very beginning, this is that piece that prevents us from asking the right questions and being confident in the conversation that we're having. Because I'm a brand new agent, they're totally going to dime me out and they're going to know that I'm green. We need to remove that and lean on the team experience and be able to say, this is what it is. Do you all have team meetings?
Yeah, every Friday.
And you go over your numbers? You go over the collective numbers of the team?
Not really.
Okay.
Getting there.
Well,
We're getting
okay.
there. We're getting better at it. Yes. we
Okay.
started- yes, we're getting much better at it. I mean, you saw that last week, right, Jeff? When we started
Yeah.
talking that.
We are a little bit. We're also a bit of a newer team. So my understanding is it's under a year old. I think the team may have come from April, like started from April. Donna
Yeah,
can
it is.
confirm that.
Yeah, we are. We're brand new because Ray recruited you. Well, he recruited me at the end of May and you in June. So he's just come over in the spring to this to the brokerage. So we are a new team. We're still working it out.
That's awesome. And that's an important piece. How many listings, how many buyers, and really be talking about in those meetings of what was your biggest, like I asked you, Donna, what's the rock in your shoe this week, right? What's the rock in the shoe with this transaction? Because with every transaction, there's something to learn. And that's where, even if it's not your personal transaction, it is part of you. It's part of your transaction because you are aware and you guys are going through the motions. So it's a collective number.
And just a little share, you're talking about the face-to-face. I actually set up a face-to-face and had one on Friday.
That's awesome.
Of a brand new lead. And it was, I said, hey, do you want to meet? Do you want to do something? No, you know what? We really want to meet you. And they're first time buyers. And this is going to be, they're not going to be ready till like April, May. So I know this is going to be a long dance, but we set the foundation so solidly. We talked about the buyer rep agreement, and like they're nowhere near ready to sign that right away. But one of the comments from the husband is like, I'm so glad you brought that up. Because I'm so tired of talking to agents who are like, well, I won't work with you until you sign the agreement. I said, well, that's not really fair because you don't know me yet. I don't know you yet. Let's build a relationship and know that, yes, I'm going to ask you to document our agreement because we need to do that, you know, before we even put an offer. But I'm confident that we'll be able to do that sooner rather than later, blah, blah, blah. And we just set, we did the whole, I mean, you know, there, yes, we did my value statement. We talked it all through, and they were sitting in the office. Just coming to the Remax office was so huge for them because as first-time buyers, they're like little kids in a candy store. Like, where do I look? So it's really got them focused now, which is really cool. And then we saw an example property on the weekend just to kind of do some fact finding. So I couldn't have scripted this one more. And they're like a lead that called in and registered like 3 weeks ago. It was like, whoa, I'm going to try to model this one again.
Wow, right? And that's beautiful because that's how we end up finding our voice. Because every conversation, when we have those little wins, we're like, oh, that question worked great. I'm going to incorporate that into my next conversation. And that conversation worked great. So I'm going to incorporate that. And then you just find your way, your niche, the same thing that you say every single time. I sound like a broken record. I mean, I drive myself bananas because I'm like, okay, hey, Donna, it's Beverly. I just saw that you were looking at homes in Zimbabwe. What exactly are you looking for? Oh, no, I'm just looking. Well, if you were to make a move, what does that look like for you, time frame, right? It's the exact same thing. When you find that voice and you find that comfortable place of asking questions, it just comes out naturally. And that's why I love categorizing my leads of all these people in tried to contact, I've never spoke to you. So all my job is to find out where you are in the process and what are those questions? What is your current situation? And Jeff, if you haven't heard me before, the biggest piece and the most important timing of this process of calling a lead is those very first few seconds. You know how they say that you have like so many seconds whenever you meet somebody to make that impression? Well, the phone is even less time because they're looking at it as a number that they do not know, and their defense is already up, and they're going, do I want to take this call, or am I going to hang up on it? So the shorter your intro can be, the more engagement you'll have from that lead and the less hangups you'll have. And I say less because you still have hangups. But identifying the lead with why exactly they came in. So in Agent Locator, you can see what they Googled, or you can see the location and say, hey, Jeffrey, this is Beverly. I saw that you were looking at homes in Toronto. Just wondering, where are you in the process? Oh, I was just looking at something. I'm just looking. That's awesome. That's great. Do you have a time frame in mind that you'd like to maybe be in a home? No, not really. Well, let me ask you, do you own or do you rent? I own a home. How long have you been in that home? 4 years. So what would have to happen for you to make that move? Grandma has to die. Waiting on my investment, waiting on a settlement, right? So that way you have an idea
next 5 years option
of what has to happen. Can you mute, Ray? So that way you have an idea. So you quickly identify. They don't care who you are, what website you're with, or what company you're with. We have to quickly go at why you're calling them. And that will help with the hangups. Because if we call and we're like, hey, this is Beverly, I'm with blah, 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 and da, 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 and they're like, who are you? We create our own objection. So I like to say you go right for the jugular. I saw you on Facebook. You clicked on an ad to receive listings that are under $100,000, whatever, right? You were on an ad and you were looking for the value of this, of a home, 123 Main Street. Did you find what you were looking for? You Googled homes for sale and such. So you're going to get more of, no, that wasn't me. Because people will do that. That wasn't me. Well, let me ask you, is this your email address? Yeah. Who did you piss off yesterday? Who's using your email address?
It's happened. I've had
Yeah,
some.
oh, that was my sister. And I'm like, oh, you're the lucky recipient. She left your number. What's your sister's number? Because now you got a captured person that's pissed off that sister gave the number. So I'm going to give sister's number because she gave my number. So just, you have a list of my questions, right, Crystal?
I don't know if we do.
You can always go to fixyourcrm.com and get a list of my questions. I know we have the list of tags.
Mhm.
And, that categorization of, we need to be very diligent. The system is only as good as the person working it. So I love the tags because that's what's helped me ask the right questions, because I want to know where to put you. If I don't know where to put you, I'm going to lose you. So when we ask the right questions, are they renting? Are they going to be renting? Do they have bad credit? Are they relocating? Are they divorcing? Are they waiting on a settlement? Are they just looking? Or if they're just looking, is it 1 or more years, 2 or more years, 3 years plus? Do they have an agent? Have they already purchased? Are they an agent? Are they wackadoo and they're a by Felicia? So that way we can start organizing them so we don't have to call them back, because the majority of your database is going to be tried to contact. And they stay in tried to contact until we have a conversation to be able to task them or tag them. So I look at it, and this came up, I think 2 weeks ago in the webinar. I'm like, do y'all remember when Farmville was out, back when Facebook started, and we had to schedule our harvests? 3 hours for harvesting your strawberries, 1 day for corn, 4 days for soybeans. You had to logistically figure out on your calendar, well, am I going to be on it? Because if you didn't go harvest it, your crop went dead and you lost points. And I'm like, oh my God, if I could make calling leads like a game, you're focused on the little points and the little wins more than you're focused on the appointment. So when you start taking your tried to contact leads and start grouping them, to your point, Jeffrey, you can quickly go through that list and not have to think about who you're calling. Because our worst enemy is what goes on in our head and trying to figure out the lead before we make the phone call. I always thought that I had to read the notes. I had to look at the properties that they were looking at, because I had to have an idea of what they were looking at. I had to look at, this lead ain't worth it. Jesus, they're looking at homes that are such low value. I don't want to call them. I was literally looking for reasons to not call them. And that is what makes it non-efficient. Do we have a question pop in?
It's looking for you to share your script.
I don't have scripts. I have questions. And yeah, so here I'll do. Fixyourcrm.com. You'll get the questions there. And it's free. Yeah, it's just general questions that I ask on every single call. And my very first question is, what are you looking for? Where are you in the process? Or what's your situation? Those are my 3 main questions, depending on my mood, depending on the day, depending on how they pick up. And then from there, whatever their answer is, I ask another question. Just looking. Great. Well, what are you just looking for? If you found the home that you were looking for, are you in a position to buy? If you were going to make, everything's hypothetical. Don't ever make them feel like you're trying to sell them something, because that is their biggest fear. When you walk into a retail store and the sales clerk says, is there anything I can help you with? No, just leave me alone. we do not want sold to. So hypothetically, if you were to make a move in the future, when do you think that would be? And sometimes you get that, honey, they're going to have to take me out of here in a wooden box. There's your answer. They're really, truly just curious. They're not going anywhere. Hashtag wooden box. No, that's what we call the toe tag home. But when you ask that question, what would have to happen for you to be able to make a move? They really can't lie to you. They really can't just make something up that fast. You're going to get the truth.
Okay, I think you just helped me answer a question I was going to ask, because I have I think there's two in particular. There are serial searchers,
Mm-hmm.
and I can set my text message alarm by them every night of the week. And I look at my husband, I'm going, that's going to be Tom or Precious. That's going to be Tom or I guarantee you. And he's like, well, which one was it? And I'll try to call or text, just like, hey, how's it going? Just checking in. Only once did I ask questions and almost lost my head. So I thought, okay, I'll just check in. So I think if I get them next, I'm gonna try that hypothetical. I'm looking forward to try that hypothetical question.
Yep. Hypothetically, if you
Okay.
were to make a move.
Okay, that's cool. Like that one.
And I always look at it, right, of, do you know where you're going on vacation next year yet, Donna? So you don't even care about talking about vacations right now, right? Then let me ask you, where was the last vacation you went? Where was your favorite vacation that you went to?
Oh, I took a river cruise in Europe.
Oh my gosh. Do you plan on going back to do that again?
Yes, I do.
You do? When might that be?
Don't know yet. Not on the budget right now.
Yeah.
There's other priorities.
So what has to happen in your life for it to be in the budget?
Gotta change the priorities.
So now when you hang up that phone, you may go to your husband at dinner tonight and go, do you remember that trip we took in Europe? Right? Now I planted the seed in your head and now it's on your mind. And now you're going to be talking about it. And what happens, what we focus on expands. So it's very intentional, the questions that we ask, because they may not even know yet until you kind of uncover that. And especially, oh, don't these people piss you off? It's like, well, I'll know the home when I find it. I'm just looking for that one home. You're like, oh my God. But what does that home look like? Well, blah, blah, blah. So let me ask you this. When you are standing at your kitchen sink, what do you see out the window? What's your view? Wow, right? You now have them imagining themselves in a new home. Because I promise you, they ain't not going to answer that. Everybody loves to dream. And if we give them permission to dream, we're creating an experience that they're going to remember your conversation because you just made them feel really good. So what happens, back to the vacation, when you start talking about vacation, you're thinking about it. Then you start doing a little bit of Google searching. Like, Donna, you have no idea where you're going to go next year. Maybe even if you're going to take a vacation next year. But you're just researching. What other rivers, if I didn't go to Europe, is there rivers in Canada that I could go to and just stay in the country? And you're researching rivers. Well, you're still not there yet because you just got distracted and you didn't get to finish the process of looking at all the rivers in Canada. So once you find that river, you're like, I think this is going to be it, but you don't book it because it's just innate nature. We just don't do it right away, but we're thinking about it. But damn, once you get that vacation booked, the countdown starts. And that's all we're doing with the home buying process. Where are they in that process? And what what information could we possibly get to them? Donna, if there were rivers that were in Canada, would it be of interest to you for me to get that information into your hands for you to kind of just self-discover?
You bet.
Yeah.
There's lots of rivers in Canada.
Yeah. But it's just dissecting which one makes the most sense that we kind of emulate your Europe experience. So now she's going to be online tonight looking at rivers.
Oh, gosh.
We have 5 minutes left. Q&A. Was this helpful? I know I didn't get into your dashboard. We can always come back on, but was this helpful?
This was definitely helpful. It gave me a lot of information that I can actually think about and use, and a different way to actually approach conversations. And I have your website now just in the back that I can check as soon as we're done with this call.
Fabulous. Fabulous. What was your biggest takeaway?
Oh God. Probably the hypothetical, using that scenario. I guess maybe even being a little bit less, I don't want to say pushy, but change my approach to be a little bit less pushy.
Yeah, because he who asks the questions controls the conversation.
Yeah. And sometimes you just don't know what to ask or how to ask it, and until we have these type of calls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I don't practice scripting, because when I script, I'm not listening. Because when you hear what they have to say, that's what and really activates that next question to ask, because you're like, that's serious, or that's peculiar. Well, you're online just looking. What made you come online and look? Right? Don't you want to know? Like, why did you get online? Why did you Google homes for sale in wherever? Just don't be afraid to ask it, because it's not a lead that you had. You can't lose anything. You can't lose what you never had. So you really can't ask the wrong question. And a lot of my questions, you'll see, I like to say that I backdoor a lot of my questions. I'm not abrasive. Instead of asking, have you talked to a lender? Well, have you talked to anybody about what your mortgage payment would be on this price of a home? Instead of asking do you have an agent? How long have you been looking? Have you been in any homes? And then even at that, well, tell me about that experience, because they are on your website for a reason. They didn't find what they were looking for. And if they have an agent, their agent has not explained to them very well that they ain't going to find anything else out there that you're not giving them. Stop searching. So they think you have something that their agent does not have. Yay, let them think it, because you do. Value. Collective team experience. And don't once discount yourself as, I'm only 6 months younger to the business. Throw that verbiage away. You've been in it collectively as long as your team has been in it. And you can collectively have that experience. So whatever experience you want to bring to that lead, I'm giving you all permission to bring it, because that's all they want. They don't care how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And if you don't have the freaking answer, Ray does. Right, Ray? And if Ray don't, Ray knows somebody that does. And don't be afraid to say, you know what, that's a really good question. Let me find out for you. Because I promise you, you know more than they do. Well, unless you have somebody that's already bought a home 2-3 years or 2-3 years ago, and they've bought multiple homes and they know more than you don't want to work with them anyway. Because they're going to be a very difficult buyer. Guys, it has been amazing. You'll have to keep me in the loop on hypothetically how that's working.
Yes, we'll, but it won't be hypothetically. We'll give you like the real deal.
It'll be the actual.
Right on. It's been a pleasure, Beverly. Really loved a chance to have some quality time with you. It's been great and really insightful. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Anytime.
You're on mute, Ray.
Ray, you're muted. Oh, I think. Do you have to send him the permission to unmute, Crystal? Because I think you muted him. He might not be able to unmute himself. I don't know.
No, he can unmute.
Unmute yourself, Ray.
Oh, there you go.
There you
I'm
go.
saying, I told you guys, Bev is the best, no doubt about it. And thank you so much, Bev, for your time. Honestly, it was, I really appreciate it. Crystal, thank you so much for putting this together, honestly.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. We can try to get you guys looped in maybe in a month and maybe next December's, what are we at? Gosh, maybe December's 3rd week dial. So it gives you a month to kind of utilize these, come back, reconvene, and then
Please.
maybe Beth can jump in and make some dials as well.
Please.
Yeah, and make note, right? If that's the plan,
Mhm.
tag leads and whoever you want me to follow up with, whoever you want me to call. If you have somebody that was difficult and you don't know what to do, tag them so that we can come to the table with real discussions.
Perfect.
Please. Sure.
Great.
Sure.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.